1-800-449-8255. It's the Clark the Shark Show, and I'm about to talk to all of you about an amazing album. Now, this one gets overlooked. It's Hard by The Who. This album is incredible. A lot of people pan this album. The Who are 37-year-old guys at this time, 1982. They're on that tour, that huge tour, the LA Coliseum to Toronto, and they're just playing these gigantic places on this massive money spinning tour brought to you by Schlitz. The Who, It's Hard tour, supposedly the final tour, 1982, but it turns out today it certainly was not. And just as we all suspected back then, because as we all know, The Who would come back in 1989 and other gigs, and they would just pick up where they left off. The Who would just keep right on going. And Pete Townsend always said how he hated touring, and Roger Daltrey would say, "Well, I don't mind touring, but and Entwistle, he liked touring, and Kenny, a great drummer, he fills in for Keith on these two pretty good albums. All these people that say these albums are bad, they either don't know what the F they're talking about, or they're just trying to go along with everyone else. But I'm going to give you the real lowdown about The Who. It's Hard, 1982. We all thought this would be the final Who album. But as we know now, it was not. There was much more to come. But let's go back to 1982, shall we? And, Pete Townsend says he's tired of touring, but suddenly the Who are playing the LA Coliseum and just these gigantic places like the Rolling Stones, and they're just huge. And, if that were me, I'd be like, fuck, dude, I want to play more shows and make more money like this. But Pete's like, oh, I've got too much dignity, or something. But, come on, Pete. You love it. Now, who knows? Maybe he does get tired playing show after show. I know what it's like playing shows on drums. You get tired, but Pete's playing guitar. I mean, come on. He's playing a Telecaster most of the night. But I admit, you get older, you get in your 30s, you get tired. When I was cleaning swimming pools, as I was 30s, 40s, 50s, it wasn't the same. When you're 25, you just got more energy. And, playing drums, it's the same thing. Playing guitar, it's the same thing at 1-800-449-8255. But we're going to talk about It's Hard by The Who, 1982. I think is one of The Who's best albums. This album's incredible. The problem for this album is it's up against Quadrophenia. It's up against Who's Next and Tommy and Live at Leeds and The Who Sell Out. Even The Who by Numbers, which I compare this album to. The Who by Numbers, Who Are You, Face Dances, and It's Hard are all comparable because Pete has this introspection. He's got this malaise, like these morose, downtrodden lyrics where he's getting older and, he's feeling it and he's writing about it. He captures it the best on The Who by Numbers, 1975, but Who Are You, which is just an amazing, great album. I can't compare the Who albums. I can't go, worst to first like these other YouTube guys do with the Who, because all the Who albums are great in their own way, and they're all different. It's apples to bananas to oranges with the Who. The Who throw you knuckleballs, curves, sliders, like no other band, man. The Who are genius, and they always know what they're doing. Even when the Who think the album's not good, it's still good. And even when the Who seems to be tired and giving up, you listen to the album, it's still good. And 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show. It's Hard, The Who. We got to get into this album. And look at the ratings. It got a great review from Rolling Stone. But other people are harsh on this album. They don't know what they're talking about, man. The people that pan this album, they don't get what Pete was going through. Panning this album would be like panning Who Are You or The Who by Numbers. Pete is getting old and he loves to write about it. He feels like shit. He's tired. He's miserable. He's a rock star. He doesn't want to be. And it's refreshing to hear. Even if it's fake and it's phony and Pete's full of shit, it's still so interesting, man. At 1-800-449-8255, you get a real fresh take on life from Pete. And, this album, I like it more than The Who by Numbers because these songs, The Who by Numbers connects with me, and so does Who Are You, but this album's more for the whole world, man. It's worldly, it's powerful. Athena, the opening song, is just fabulous, man. I love Athena. And it's a collage of Pete's talking about his miserable life as it relates to nuclear war. It's just genius. And the whole world, it's like a reality show. At 1-800-449-8255. Athena is just falling apart, it kind of misfires and misses the mark. And it's one of those brilliant failures by The Who. At 1-800-449-8255. It's Your Turn, is a Entwistle song, and it could have been a lot better if they organized the song, the verse, chorus, verse thing. It's still pretty good. It's interesting, man. But it just gets disjointed or something. But I could see where you could have brought out some little, interesting melodic parts of It's Your Turn and expanded upon them. But nevertheless, the lyrics by Entwistle are cool. I dig. Entwistle's kind of miserable now on this album with It's Your Turn, where he's just kind of downtrodden and sardonic like Pete. I like these first two songs. This album is underway, baby. And then Cook's County, to me, is a Who classic. Awesome song. Awesome. I love Cook's County. And Pete sounds miserable, unhappy, downtrodden. People are suffering. I'll say it again and again and again. It's just a killer song, man. Cook's County, I love it. And then the song, It's Hard, the title track, is really good. It's a great Who song. And the lyrics are really genius, really awesome. The people that say it's not good, or I don't know what they're talking about, man. Listen to that song, It's Hard. And Roger's kind of talking, he's just talking like you or me. And then he starts going high with his vocals. It's killer. He just, out of nowhere, he goes shooting way up with these powerful vocals. And then Dangerous, the Entwistle song. Another Entwistle song. Great song, man. Great lyrics. It's awesome. I love Dangerous. 5-star song, man. Great song by John Entwistle. And I got to tell you, as I'm going here, that Kenny Jones drumming is really good on this album. He's going right with The Who nicely. And these songs are so good, you almost don't notice Kenny Jones. Entwistle's bass playing, awesome, man. It almost kind of reminds me of Mike Rutherford of Genesis. The way he's just snapping strings, and sometimes he's playing a fretless, and it's just really cool, man. John Entwistle, just like Quadrophenia and Who by Numbers, he really contributes to this project, this album, The Who, It's Hard. And then, of course, Eminence Front, which is a classic. And Kenny Jones' drum beat is just powerful, leading the way. And then Pete's narrating, this miserable song about, the sun shines and people forget. It's just a great song, man. Eminence Front. I think it's kind of overrated. So many people love Eminence Front. It's just so great. It's so incredible. But to me, it's just another good Who song. It's not as good as 515 or The Real Me or any of that, but Eminence Front, man, definitely solid. Kenny Jones is marching along and with hit that beat of a snare, and Entwistle's popping strings, and Pete's narrating. It's all good, man. Eminence Front. And then side two of this album is amazing. I've Known No War is a Who classic. And Rolling Stone called it in 1982 when they gave this album 5 stars. They weren't kidding, because I've Known No War has amazing lyrics. It's just so great. And Pete captures this aging guy who's, Pete, it's almost like he's even bad on purpose. And he captures being bad, like being really lame, beautifully on this album. But I've Known No War, I almost can't even knock this song. It's so great. It's right there with the best of the Who. I love it. And then One Life's Enough is just a beautiful song where Pete writes these beautiful lyrics and Roger's singing, and it's so nice. I love it. If there's kind of a weak song, it might be One at a Time, another Entwistle song. And even it is good, man. You listen to that song One at a Time, and the singing by Entwistle seems a little labored, but Roger's right there backing him, and it's interesting, man. It's a good song at 1-800-449-8255, The Clark the Shark Show. I love One at a Time. Maybe not the best of the Who or the best Entwistle, but very interesting, very good song, and John's playing some sick, incredible bass there. And then these two songs, Why Did I Fall for That and A Man Is a Man, a couple of little shocker nuggets, man, stunners by Pete with these great lyrics. I love Why Did I Fall for That. It's just so great. Where he's talking about his miserable life as it relates to nuclear war. It kind of revisits Athena. And A Man Is a Man is cool, man. I love these lyrics where Pete, once again, it's like he's being lame and he's being so terrible. He's torturing himself, kind of like that song, the Blue, the Red, and the Gray from the Who by Numbers. And it's just, he captures this miserable thing, man, like this aging guy, this aging rock star perfectly on A Man Is a Man, but he tries to go positive or something. It's just confusing, but it's so brilliant. It's Pete Townshend and the Who at their best. I love these two songs. Why Did I Fall for That and A Man Is a Man. A couple of Who nuggets that get overlooked and forgotten, and they're great. And of course, Cry If You Want is amazing, where Pete is just miserable. He's just this sardonic fool. He's just a self-pitying fool writing about aging and but Cry If You Want captures it better than the Who by Numbers. It captures it better than Who Are You and anything off Face Dances. But I love Cry If You Want. It's just such an awesome song, and Pete's guitar is awesome, and Entwistle is so awesome on this album. And Kenny Jones' drumming is fabulous. Great snare work. Talented drummer from the Faces with Rod Stewart. Kenny Jones, man. And they all knocked him and said he wasn't Keith. He wasn't meant to be Keith, man. He's Kenny Jones. He's a great British drummer. And he almost saves these two albums, if you want the truth. These albums are kind of lame. They're good in that aging rock star way. But Kenny Jones' drumming provides an energy that Keith Moon, especially in his later days, Keith Moon with the alcoholism was just wearing out. And you can really feel it on Who Are You, where he's, he can barely play. He's still great, man. He's Keith Moon. He's still good on Who Are You, but he dies, man, sadly, drug overdose in 1978. And then the Who get the Faces, Kenny Jones. Oh, man, and he's such a fill-in. He's great live. He makes the concert memorable, historic. And Pete locks in with Kenny Jones live. And Entwistle, that tight bass with the popping strings and that twangy, that Rickenbacker bass sound that Entwistle gets on the alembic bass, man. It's great. And then, Roger, he's kind of the weak link in the Who now. The other three guys are the strength. But, he's Roger Daltrey. He's still great. He's still got that powerful voice. And he's trying to lead the way on these two albums, Face Dances and It's Hard. But honestly, this album is a democracy. All four guys in the Who are performing here. And this album is great. Rolling Stone had it right. When they gave this 5 stars, this album is 5 stars. On a scale of 1 to 10, I can't give it a 10, man. And I struggle to give it a 9. But this album is like an 8.7. It is so good and solid for The Who. 1982, It's Hard. Miserable lyrics where Pete's just stumbling and falling all over himself. And so is Entwistle. Entwistle's actually trying to be kind of like Pete. And Roger's trying his best to deliver these miserable, downtrodden, just feel-bad lyrics. And, this album is nothing like Face Dances. Face Dances is like this funny, like Frank Zappa, hilarious nonsense. Like, almost like a Return to the Who Sell Out. Or it's just so retarded. It's a good album, but it's totally different. I can't compare Face Dances and It's Hard. They're totally different. Face Dances has some songs on it that are actually catchier and better than this album. But this album has some chunky, solid, meaty meat and potatoes that are better than Face Dances. So, yeah, man. The Who, It's Hard. Aging rock stars. And they're still putting out better albums than everybody. Better albums than Zeppelin. Better albums than the Stones. Better albums than Genesis. Better albums than everybody. People say that Pete saved his best songs for his solo career, and that might be true. But there are great songs on Face Dances, and there are great songs on It's Hard, man. This album is great. I almost want to give this album a 9 out of 10 stars. Or a 9 out of 10. It's a great album. I've Known No War is awesome. And yeah, man, the song It's Hard is awesome. Of course, Eminence Front is awesome. And When Life's Enough is beautiful. And even One at a Time, Love It or Hate It by Entwistle, is great. By this fabulous group, The Who just keep on shocking and surprising you. I want to hate this album, It's Hard by The Who, but I can't. It's too good. It's too solid. And The Who would probably laugh and say, Clark the Shark, you're full of shit. Pete would be like, what are you talking about, man? The album's terrible. And then he might wink at me and go, you're right, Clark the Shark. Nobody knows it. But The Who, It's Hard is a hidden gem. It is good. But we Who fans, we know this album is good. We like The Who, It's Hard. And we can tell you, it's probably better than those 2 recent albums, Endless Wire and the other one. If you're talking great recent Who albums, man, It's Hard, 1982 by The Who is it. But I gotta say, Face Dances can do some things that this album cannot do. But this album can do some things that Face Dances cannot do. This is more serious rock. This takes you back to The Who by Numbers. This takes you back to Who Are You, where Pete's introspection and Pete's inner demons are taken over, and Pete's sad, aging depravity, where he's this rock star getting old. He's approaching 40 here in 1982, and he doesn't like it. Pete Townsend, The Who, genius. Genius. He's no Ray Davies. No way. But Ray Davies is no Pete. And Pete is no Bob Dylan. No way. But Bob is no Pete. The way Pete captures misery and he connects with you. If you listen to this album enough, And if you're in a bad mood, you listen to the Who by Numbers, or even Who Are You. Now, Who Are You is a great album. It's right there with Tommy, Who's Next, and Quadrophenia. But I would almost say It's Hard by the Who, 1982. This album surprises you, man. It surprised me when it came out. And I remember in 1982, we were just little kids, 17, and we all loved this album. And we were in shock. We were like, it's pretty good. At 1-800-449-8255. No, you didn't die and just go to heaven. You went to rock and roll heaven, baby, with the Clark the Shark Show, where I just gave you the real accurate review of The Who. It's Hard, 1982, baby. Pete was 37, and he was writing about being a guy that's 37 and heading for 40. Pete Townshend, the great songwriter, great genius. Roger Daltrey, the great singer. John Entwistle, the amazing bass player. Popping strings, playing a twangy-ass Rickenbacker sound. And Kenny Jones, solid as a rock on drums. I don't know why The Who got rid of Kenny Jones. He was amazing, but Simon Phillips was good in 1989, but I always felt bad for Kenny because he was so solid in The Who. He's better than Ringo's kid, Zach. You know, that kid, man, he ain't no Kenny Jones. At 1-800-449-8255, The Clark the Shark Show. And you just heard the real deal, the real review of It's Hard, 1982. Amazing album by The Who. And I'm out. Peace.